Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So in today's video I basically talk you through why I quit my job as an au pair in Paris. I'm basically going to explain my whole experience with that. I'm going to talk about the growth isn't comfortable kind of culture and my opinions and views on the whole situation. I'm not gonna give specific examples because I completely respect the privacy of the family that I stayed with, and where my experience wasn't that great, I'm not blaming as such, and I don't think that they're horrible people because they're not. So it was really uncomfortable. Living with them was really difficult. They didn't really tell me that the little girl that I was looking after had some behavioural and emotional problems. Is fine, but obviously I'm not qualified to deal with that kind of thing, and I think it would have been better if I had a bit of a heads up. But I can understand why they didn't want to tell me, because if they told me beforehand I might have not agreed to have gone, and then they wouldn't have been able to find an au pair. So I understand why, and I'm sure they would have thought it would have been fine, and it was something that I was willing to get over if all the other issues were okay, but I couldn't. So yeah, one of the little girls was really challenging to look after, and that's no one's fault. And actually leaving, they have now agreed to get her some more professional help to deal with her more like complex issues that need addressing for the well-being of herself and for everyone else. So that made it really difficult. Kind of being put in the deep end in a new country was hard enough, but then to deal with something that you have no idea how to handle, and then the language barrier, so you can't even talk about it with the child if they're having, you know, a tantrum, or if they're behaving really badly. It's not even like I could just have a conversation and try to understand why they were upset, because I think communication and like treating a child as a human being is really important, and kind of showing them a lot of love. But it was really difficult to communicate that when we couldn't use speech, so that was hard. But the biggest thing was not feeling comfortable in the family, especially during meal times. So I lived in the family, so I had breakfast, lunch and dinner with them unless I decided to go out and eat. But on an au pair budget, you're really not going to be able to go out and eat every day, every meal. They didn't really respect my vegan diet. Now, I've never been demanding, and I've always kind of cowered away at being vegan and apologised, like sorry for being difficult, which I shouldn't have done. I should have just owned it, because I'm not sorry for being vegan, and I'm not asking for anything extravagant. I'm just asking for basic needs, but unfortunately they weren't met, and maybe it was a communication barrier. I understand that veganism still isn't as accepted, but I always offered. I was like, I don't expect you to do anything extra for me. If you just let me know what you're having for dinner, and if you just give me the food money instead of going shopping, or if you just ask me what I want, I can tell you the specific things, or I can make the food for myself before mealtime so we can still sit and enjoy it together. It got to every mealtime and they'd make the food, and then they'd say, oh, by the way, this isn't vegan, but they didn't give me another option. And at this point it was 7 p.m. and we were sat having dinner, and they'd say, so I don't know what you're gonna do, like you can just eat it, can't you? And obviously I'm not gonna eat meat, so I was like, oh no, I'm vegan, you know this. Maybe even after a month of being there the same conversations happened, and there was just no solution. So most nights the options for me to eat were just plain rice. I think one night I had a tablespoon of chickpeas and I'm not telling you this to be like woe is me, like they starved me, because they didn't. And obviously I could have bought my own food, and I did for as much as I could afford. Yeah, and then they kept on asking me to eat the food that isn't vegan and kind of pressuring me to, which obviously I didn't, but they did make me feel very bad and uncomfortable when I declined their food, and almost offended, even though I'd made it very clear before I even went and met them I moved country that I was vegan, and I don't expect a lot, but obviously 3 meals that isn't just plain rice would be nice. Honestly, it got really bad and I got into a really dark place in Paris, and it made me realise that you can be anywhere in the world. You know, you could have everything, the most beautiful city in the world, and if it's not meant to be, if it's not right for you, it's not right for you, and you can still be incredibly miserable and lonely and lost. When I really think back, I didn't have a nice time. Don't get me wrong, at the start, maybe for the first month, I put it down to the fact that it was a new experience, but I think it got to week 6 that I was like, this isn't okay, like this is getting worse, this isn't getting better. The only thing that I was enjoying was being with my friends in Paris and appreciating the city, and that is a blessing in itself because Paris is beautiful, but it wasn't worth it. Like, it wasn't worth my peace. You know, I was going to spend a year of my life there, and I don't know what I'd be like if I spent a year there, because fair enough, you could think that I would have grown so much and overcome so many battles, but I could have also have completely gone into myself and cowered away because I felt uncomfortable at every second. And I started feeding myself the narrative that I have to be this uncomfortable and this sad in order to grow, and it's for my greater good. And well, I do believe that is partially true. I think, yeah, hell yeah, I grew so much in there. I don't think you have to commit yourself to months of uncomfort just to grow. So I plucked up the courage to quit. I honestly did it as nicely as I could, and luckily they took it well. I just said, this isn't for me, I'm feeling really uncomfortable, I can't really deal with the child's behaviour well, and I feel like she'd have a better time with someone that could deal with her needs better. And she completely agreed, and she said, you know, we've had this problem with au pairs in the past, we do need to get her maybe a psychologist or something. So that was all cleared up. And with the vegan thing, you know, it was just a matter of not being right for that family, and I completely respect that. Not everyone's going to be a perfect match, and I'm sure they could probably have a better time with someone else, because where I was being uncomfortable and really sad, I also wasn't being my best self, and I was isolating myself, and I didn't want to talk much. And you know, I bet they could have had a better time with someone that was more inclusive because they felt comfortable. So plucking up the courage to quit was the single-handedly hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because I hate confrontation, I hate causing someone discomfort, I'd hate the fact that I disappointed someone. I was so nervous to upset them, so I put it off for so long. But honestly, the fact that I was able to pluck up the courage and have an adult conversation and express my needs and tell them that I didn't want to come back was so brave of me, and I'm really proud of myself, because I hated that. My skin was crawling, and I grew so much in those 2 months than I probably had done the whole year. That's why I quit, and now I'm just going to quickly tell you a bit about my life now. I have told all of my friends, everyone on Instagram knows that I'm in Paris, so me coming home and saying that I've quit and like I'm back in England makes me seem like a loser, and obviously it doesn't, but this is what kind of like the narrative I was playing in my head. I was like, I've gone from Paris, which is amazing, to just back at home living with my family, which is obviously still amazing, and I'm so lucky I even have a place to come back to. But I think the reason why I felt pressured to stay was more from the judgment of others, and it wasn't actually because I wanted to. I've just given up when something got a bit hard, but honestly, when I tell you, I persevered for those 2 months. I wanted to go from week 1, but I persevered because I was like, come on, like, obviously it's going to be difficult. But there's difficult, and there's being uncomfortable, and there's feeling like you can't even take up space. I am so lucky to come back and have been able to get a job working from home that gives me all the freedom in the world, and it allows me to save money, have time to wake up in the morning and do yoga, just really reconnect to myself, because I feel like I really lost myself, and it's been so nice to come back and get that spark again. I am happier than ever now, and I feel so at home and at peace, and I have so much time to look after myself and my heart and expand my mind, and I have grown, and I was uncomfortable, but I've learned that the whole thing that you have to be uncomfortable to grow isn't true. Like, yes, growth is uncomfortable, and yes, I did grow because I was uncomfortable, but you don't need to be that uncomfortable to grow. Like, I'm growing now and I'm feeling happy, and I think you need to think, is this growth or is this just completely affecting my peace? I think we're too hard on ourselves, and I think we always have to be achieving something or doing something extravagant or growing and improving every day. But really, you just need to take a step back and remember we're only human and we can only do so much. You really need to think about the root on why you're doing things. Are you doing this for outside validation, for image? You know, this whole social media culture is a highlight reel and you always have to be living your best life, but that's not real life. Like, there are going to be times when you're going to want to quit, and it doesn't make you a failure. One, we're in a worldwide pandemic, and I think things are a little bit different. I think I'm going to be easy on myself. I don't regret anything. I don't regret going, and actually I did enjoy parts of it. I'm grateful that I got to live in France for 2 months, even if it was only 2 months. I learned so much French, I learned their culture. I do love Paris and I would like to go again, so my image of it isn't tainted, because it's still a little bit fragile. I've just got to put myself first and realise that this is my journey, and only I can decide what is right for me. And I've always got to follow my bliss and follow what makes me the best version of myself, regardless of whether it seems like the easy option. Nothing about this has been easy, but I'm so happy now just to be here and to have taken those lessons. I know that there's going to be situations that I can't change and I have to deal with, but when you have a choice, I don't have to choose the hard option just because it's going to be the one that makes me grow more, because that isn't the case. Because I'm growing more now in this last month that I've been at home than I did in Paris, for different ways. Like, I'm growing spiritually, and I'm growing and I'm feeling so grateful, and I'm learning more, and I'm more receptive to pick up information and read more books and help myself grow, because I want to now, and nothing is taking my peace away from me. Yeah, that was a big fat ramble. I hope I explained that well. But long story short, I'm not in Paris anymore, and I hope this doesn't put you off if you do want to be an au pair, because I know Lucy absolutely loves it and she's still there. I guess it's just everyone's different, and we all have our own goals and desires and needs, and mine are just different at the moment, and I'm just going to embrace this journey and just be grateful for everything and not take for granted everything that I have here. And it's such a privilege to be able to live every day feeling comfortable and feeling peaceful, because I know that that's not the case for a lot of people on this earth. Like, there's so many situations there where people can't get out of, and it's not a case of they can just fly home, because, you know, life can be hard, but just because I'm home now doesn't make me weak. It doesn't make me a failure. It doesn't mean that I've given up. It doesn't mean that it got too hard for me and I just ran away. So I'm not scared of hard work. I'm not scared of feeling uncomfortable. I'm not scared of new experiences and new challenges, but there is a line, and that was unfortunately crossed, and now I know, and now I can set boundaries in the future, and I know my boundaries more, and I know myself more, and I know what triggers me, and I know what affects my peace, and I know how to deal with that and sort that out. So yeah, for now, expect more content, because I'm home and I've got all the time in the world to just be creative and free, and it's a learning experience. I'm still gonna have bad days and hard days, and I'm still figuring out a lot within myself, but we're definitely taking a step in the right direction. And I think with gratitude and welcoming in the blessings that were given to us, our life is going to be so much more abundant. And just I'm so grateful for everything that has been shown on this path, because it's just made me a better person, and I'm just excited for the future. I'm excited even though things are difficult, and even though I'm getting emotional. Even though life has been kind of difficult this year, I think I can appreciate that it's been difficult for everyone, and this is kind of an anomaly, and it's just about being present in the moment and appreciating what we have now. And if what we have right now in this moment isn't okay and it's making you feel sad and you can change it. So you have two options: you either accept it or change it, and I was able to change my situation. But yeah, that's me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed this and you want to see more content. It really does mean a lot to me, and I'm sending you all the love. Everything has a funny way of working out. I hope you have a beautiful day, evening, and I will see you in my next video.